Scott Tacinelli and Angie Rito of the new San Sabino in the West Village. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming in.
So what are we going to be making together today?
So today we're going to make shrimp parm.
Just like my grandma made.
Did your grandma make shrimp parm?
That's what I was going to ask you. Angie, did you have shrimp parm growing up?
I absolutely did not. I'm from the Midwest, so this is the phenomenon I wasn't familiar with till I moved to the East Coast.
I'm guessing when you were getting this growing up, you did not have beautiful shrimp. Like, can you talk a little bit about these?
Yeah, so these are U5 head-on shrimp. So U5 means there's approximately 5 shrimp to a pound.
Okay.
So that could range, anywhere from 4 to 6 or something like that. But they're almost a quarter of a pound each.
Jeez.
When you use these really big shrimp, and we butterfly them from the back, and then we'll bread them. We stick them with like a little stick so they stay straight when we cook them. They take on like a real meaty texture because there is so much meat.
How do you get started with like the breading here?
Yeah, so it's pretty much a typical breading process. So we actually season them with like a garlic salt first. So it's just granulated garlic and kosher salt. And then we carefully just dip it in flour. And then we just shake it off because you just want one thin layer of flour. You don't want it to be caked on, kind of like that. And then just an
egg wash there?
Just an egg wash, yes. Very, very traditional breading. We actually make our own breading and we dry all of our own herbs for the breading. That's one thing we've been doing for a long time because it really makes a difference. Angie's grandmother taught her that.
You're saying like in the breading here, there's like a little bit of, did you say rice that was like crunched up in here?
It's rice that's been cooked and then dehydrated, and we pulverize it. Sounds kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But it does add like a crispy texture to it that it doesn't get soft when you add the sauce and the cheese and everything else. It kind of still kind of like holds its own.
With San Sabino, is it like much more seafood focused than like what people expect at Don Angie?
Yeah, so this restaurant overall, it's very much our same style that we have at Don Angie, which is like our sort of take on Italian-American cuisine, but leaning more toward the seafood. We kind of have a few nods to like American coastal cities that happen to have like large Italian immigrant communities, New Orleans or San Francisco.
After we're done breading it, we take each shrimp and put them on a skewer, a bamboo skewer, and we push it all the way up into the head.
Yeah, shrimp when you cook it, it like retracts. So this keeps it nice and straight.
Then what's the next step in the process?
So then we're gonna deep fry the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and the head and everything.
About how long do you let that go in the fryer there?
So until it's golden brown. Like lightly golden brown, which is like honestly about 45 seconds.
Yeah, so it's a pretty quick process.
Correct.
Yeah. Once it's like golden brown here, it's gonna be like ever so slightly under inside, but then once you add the cheese and the sauce and you put it in the salamander, it goes in there for like, 1.5 to 2 minutes. It'll be like perfectly cooked through. Like.
Angie, like you're saying like these breadcrumbs are like nostalgic to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's like reminds me of my grandma, she always had like a big batch of like homemade breadcrumbs that she made with bread that she dried out herself, herbs that she dried out herself.
My grandma would have the same kind of, it's always in like, the breadcrumbs were always in the cabinet in like some like repurposed plastic container that was like an old like ricotta cheese container or something.
I was gonna say that.
They've had for like 20 years, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Because they never buy like an actual container for it. It was just repurposed anything you got for free.
So you're talking about like your grandparents, were they just both like a big inspiration for you to get into cooking in the first place?
I mean, this restaurant is named after Scott's grandfather. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so my grandfather his father was from the town of Sanza, which is in Salerno. Well, the patron saint of the town was Saint Sabino. A lot of the men on the town were named Sabino. My grandfather's birthday was also on the feast day of Saint Sabino, which was
his name was Sabino.
Sabino, yeah. So that was the inspiration behind the name of the restaurant.
So you're just finishing the last one up, pulling it from the oil.
Yep, gonna dump it out.
You get it onto some paper to kind of take a little bit of the just
Drain
to
a
absorb
little
some of
bit
the oil, yeah.
oil, but it is really crispy. And then we're just gonna carefully pull out the sticks that we put in. And then this is the fun part, assembling it. So we make a tomato sauce here at the restaurant that is, we call it like a spicy arrabbiata sauce. It has a lot of sliced garlic in it, as well as a little bit of rice wine vinegar.
Okay.
And it's the San Marzano tomatoes that we use. We use a little bit of extra olive oil in it too, and a lot of Calabrian chilies. And then Angie just added a little bit of chopped Thai basil, which almost has like a little bit of like a licorice-y kind of taste to it, but it goes really good with the rice wine vinegar and stuff.
Why use a Thai basil instead of just like a traditional basil?
I think the flavor of traditional basil is a little more delicate. Like this is like a super punchy, intense sauce, and I think this basil is like a little more intense than a typical like Italian basil, so it just plays well with all the ingredients.
And you can see all the sliced garlic that's in it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
So then
So
we're
much
gonna
garlic.
place the shrimp in. And it's cool because they kind of are flat now.
Then you do like a last little,
We don't put it over the entire thing, we just kind of put it on the middle of the
just a little
shrimp.
dollop.
This way, when you put the cheese and everything on it and it broils in the oven, you get like the crispy like ends of the shrimp and stuff like that. So this is stracchino cheese. It's not mozzarella cheese. It's that typically what you would see on this type of thing. This is like a soft cow's milk cheese.
Okay.
And it's really, really like tangy, and it melts
Okay.
really nice. Like a really not funky brie or something like that, right? Maybe.
It's super creamy, tangy. It's really delicate.
And then we're gonna do a very generous sprinkle of 24-month Parmesan Reggiano, as well as Pecorino Toscano, like 120-day Pecorino Toscano, not Pecorino Romano. Pecorino Romano is great cheese, it's just very, very salty. This is not
Yeah.
nearly as salty, it's more earthy. So we're gonna take it into the kitchen and put it under the salamander.
Awesome.
It's gonna go in for about a minute to a minute and a half. Yeah, I think it's good.
So these are just came out of the broiler, just like a quick like flash to really get it melty.
Yeah. So we finish it with a little bit of fresh lemon juice, just to kind of cut through any of the fat and stuff, but also, you know, seafood and lemon is kind of like a matchmaker.
Yeah, yeah.
So it goes really well with the shrimp. And then a little bit of just Thai basil.
Those, and you can see like the nice like char on the head that it's got now.
Yep. And that's it.
Yeah, that's
we
it.
eat it.
That's beautiful. Let's eat it. There's like a little bit of like sweetness to the arrabbiata that's like really, really nice.
We call it like sweet and sour because it has like
Yeah.
that rice vinegar in there. But then we also like sweeten it up. It's like a little more punchy and like interesting than just like a plain old marinara sauce.
I love like that sweetness to it, and then also just that little bit of heat you get on the back end from the Calabrian chilies. It's like super nice.
So my father's mother was from Naples and amazing cook, like the best cook I've ever met in my life. But yeah, like a purist in like an Italian sense. And you know, I would tell her about some of the flavor combinations and ingredients we were using at the restaurant, and she was just like, "No, like, you can't do that. Like that's not allowed." You know, like she couldn't understand the you know, the amount of rule breaking we do here. But
But like when it's like this good, like it doesn't matter. So it's
Yeah.
like, go ahead, break the rules. It's great.
we're just we're cooking Italian American cuisine. You know, we're not saying this is Italian cuisine. So
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. It's great.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks for coming in.